Hello and welcome to Business Live. We start in Iran, where focus today will be on US President Trump. In a few hours' time, he'll give a speech outlining his new strategy towards the country. He's strongly hinted that he will remove his support from the 2015 deal that lifted sanctions in return for Iran halting its nuclear program. Congress would then have to decide whether to reimpose sanctions. Now, that could put the US at odds with Europe. The UK, France and Germany are firmly in favour of keeping the Iran deal in place. European firms like Peugeot and Airbus are all doing business in Iran. The big prize, of course, is energy. Iran has the world's second largest gas reserves and fourth largest oil reserves. In July, the French energy giant Total signed a $5 billion gas development deal. Iran's first big foreign deal in more than a decade. But it's just a start. According to Bloomberg, around $100 billion worth of investment is needed to update Iran's ailing oil and gas industry. The lifting of sanctions has already had a striking effect. Iran's economic growth hit 12.5% in 2016, thanks partly to oil exports. Now, that made it one of the world's fastest growing economies last year. Iran needs that growth to combat its high unemployment. Rachel.
Well, I'm joined by Dr. Hassan Hakimian, Director at the London Middle East Institute at SOAS. Thank you very much for joining us. What are you expecting President Trump to say today?
I think it's widely expected that he will fail to certify, or rather decertify, the agreement. As we know, he has been throwing around quite a few tantrums, according to reports amongst his own close advisors, when he certified the agreement twice during the term of his presidency. But he has shown himself to be rather unhappy about continuation of certifying the agreement.
Well, if he decertifies it, that doesn't necessarily mean that sanctions will be imposed. What would happen then?
No, not at all. No, the Congress will then have 60 days. So, in effect, it's a rather clever tactical move on his part to throw the onus back to the lawmakers. If they then impose sanctions, he will no doubt claim victory, and we will have plenty of tweets announcing that. If they don't, then he will obviously blame them. So it is not necessarily a done deal. And also, we shouldn't also rule out another possibility, that today he may also announce the Iran's the elite Revolutionary Guards forces as a terrorist organization, and that could also further up the ante in a region which is already riddled by conflict.
He's already placed unilateral sanctions, the US have, earlier in the summer on Iran, and that's had an impact, hasn't it, on those huge deals, because banks, particularly US banks, if they have interests in those deals, it's very difficult for them to get involved, and that's really damaged business deals between Europe as well and Iran, hasn't it?
From Iran's point of view, even post the nuclear deal, the US financial sanctions were not lifted anyway, so Iran continues to experience huge difficulties accessing the international dollar system. And basically, if sanctions, and this is a big if sanctions are reimposed on Iran unilaterally by the states, this will come at a delicate time for Iran's economy, but I think the expected impact would be more moderate compared to last time, partly because sanctions now have entered what one might describe as a diminishing returns phase, and also because there isn't a widespread international consensus, which the US had last time, that will not support Trump in this line of activity towards Iran.
OK, Dr. Hassan Hakimian, Director of the London Middle East Institute at SOAS.